All right, question 27. Two samples of water of equal mass are heated to 60 degrees Celsius. One sample is poured into an insulated container, and the other sample is poured into an non-insulated container. The samples are then left for 70 minutes to cool in the room, having a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. The graph above shows the temperature of each sample at 10-minute intervals. Which of the following statement correctly compares the average rate at which the temperatures of the two samples change? Okay, so pretty much we have this chart, and then we see the little gray square, right, represent the insulated, and then the dots are the non-insulated water. Okay, and then we see the temperature for the non-insulated temperature. Seems like it drops faster initially, right, compared to the insulated sample, because that's what we observe initially. But we'll have to look at it a little bit more carefully as we go through the answer choices. Okay, so let's look at answer choice A. So for a question like this, we just had to go through each one and see if it's correct or not. Okay, so A says every 10-minute interval, the magnitude of the rate of change of temperature of the insulated sample is greater than that of the non-insulated sample. Okay, so they're saying in every 10 minutes, right, the rate of change for the insulated sample is greater than the non-insulated sample. Okay, so they're not talking about the actual temperature, but rather the rate of change. So how much it decreases, right, in this scenario, right? How big is that change? Is the insulated sample always having a bigger change compared to the non-insulated sample? Well, if you look at the initial point here, right, they both start from 60 degree. And for the insulated sample, after 10 minutes, drop to here. Right, the non-insulated sample after 10 minutes, drop down here. So who has a bigger change? Right, the dotted one, right? So it's a bigger drop, right? Okay, so it's a bigger decrease for the dotted one, which is the non-insulated sample. Right, so the non-insulated sample actually have a greater change in that first 10 minutes there, right? Which can prove letter A wrong. Okay, because is the non-insulated sample actually have a greater rate of change, and at least for that first 10 minutes, that's the case. Okay, so A is not always correct, so that's wrong. That's not the answer. Okay, so next one, B says in every 10-minute interval, the magnitude of the non-insulated sample is greater than that of the insulated sample. So now it's pretty much the opposite. Okay, they're saying the non-insulated sample is greater. Well, so we have to look for the whole thing, right? And then for a question like this, we're always trying to prove it wrong. Okay, so we're trying to see if we can find some counterexample here. See, near the end, right, the non-insulated sample is almost like constant, right? So the dots like kind of stay the same. So there's pretty much no change. But during the same interval, we see the insulated sample is still kind of decreasing, right? Yeah, the change is not big, but it's still decreasing a little bit, we can tell. And then so that will make it a bigger change, right, for the insulated sample compared to the non-insulated. Okay, so from here we can tell B is also wrong. Okay, yep. So C says interval from 0 to 10 minutes and from 10 to 20 minutes, the rate of change of temperature of the insulated sample are greater magnitude, where in the interval from 40 to 50 and from 50 to 60, the change of the non-insulated is greater. Well, so is that a true statement? Well, we said in the earlier times right here, we said that the bigger drop here, the bigger change should be the non-insulated sample. Okay, so the first from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, the rate of change for the non-insulated should be greater. So it seems like C is on the right track, right? Is recognizing we had two different scenario in the beginning compared to later time, but I think C got it flipped. Okay, so the first 20 minutes, the bigger change is the non-insulated, right? Which is what answer D has. And then the later time from 40 to 50, 50 to 60, the insulated sample has a bigger change. So that's what we said earlier. So the best answer here should be, right, it's from 40, 50, 50, 60, the insulated one is greater. So the answer should be D for number 27.